is gonna be the best day ever. This is gonna be the best day ever. Wake up, top of the morning. The bacon is crispy, the coffee is pouring. My meditation is peeling an orange. The bank says I'm already scoring. I got a parking spot right outside. Step into my brand new ride. All we ever get is green lights and blue skies. This is gonna be the best day ever. You got me looking so fresh. I can't get no better. Baby, I'm a T-Rex, ready to rumble, ready to flex. I'm the king of the jungle. Gonna be the best. Shake up, I got a red fruit smoothie. James Brown bumping like I'm living in a movie. Look at me, I do the cha-cha-cha. Look at me, I sing a na-na-na. Tippy-tap-tap like I'm Dick Van Dyke. Chim-chim, I need you to be by my side. Spoonful of sugar, gonna go with it. Oh baby, pass me the butter, gonna roll with it. This is gonna be the best day ever. You got me looking so fresh, I can't get no better. Baby, I'm a T-Rex, ready to rumble, ready to flex. I'm the king of the jungle. Gonna be the best. I'm flying 10 feet off the ground. You got me dancing in the clouds. It's like I'm never coming down. No. This is gonna be the best day ever. You got me looking so fresh, I can't get no better. Baby, I'm a T-Rex, ready to rumble, ready to flex. I'm the king of the jungle. Gonna be the best.
Trying hard to keeping up with the Joneses. Everything is kind of trouble and purpose. And you're lying in a bed of roses. I never dreamed of getting in the action. Life moves with all the surprises. I never dared with chemical reaction. It comes down to this. You're gonna be a tough act to follow. And you better believe it. Just take a bite and see that it's gonna be too much to swallow. You better believe it.
Yo! What's up, everybody? I always love the little hand clap in the intro video because that's when Patrick's like, oh, it's about to come. He was so focused. He's just like, oh, wait, I gotta put on my happy face.
I gotta pay attention.
Because I'm pouty because I was wrong on the thing we were looking at before the... Hey, how you doing, Patrick?
I'm all right, man. What about you?
Living the dream. Although we had a rough week. We had a rough week with Wilson.
Yeah. That's sad.
That was hard. It was hard. So yeah, we're getting through it. Yeah, chat got active. Chat was active before Pot Beater. All right. Seeing a lot of chat is bananas. So welcome everyone. Glad you are here. We have a lot of questions already in the queue, so definitely get those in. So we can do it. Wyatt, thank you so much. We agree. Yes, Chatmaster C. I wasn't arguing with Patrick. I was telling him that I was right, and I was. So he didn't like it, but it was a true statement. All right. Are you still noodling on things?
No, I just saw something in the chat. That's pretty cool.
Okay, cool.
Anyway.
All right, everyone. So if you are new to GynaCube or the live stream in general, put hashtag new in the chat. We love seeing all the new faces. Love the community around Power BI and GynaCube. It's always a wonderful thing. And also, shout out to the members of GynaCube. You all help us do what we do here on the channel. Always amazed and surprised by the support from everyone. It blows me away every time. It blows Patrick away too, even though he's focused on something right now. So if you see folks with the green name or the GynaCube logo next to their name, those are members of GynaCube. So hello, members. And if you want to learn more about becoming a member, you could check out the link up above, or there's a join button down below. You can click on that to get more information. No commitment required. Just more info, and thank you from us for just considering it. So it's always awesome. Always awesome. One of the benefits. For members, we are going to do a member only chat on the second half of the stream. So members, hold your questions for right now. Chatmaster C will let you know when the time is to enter the question. That member only chat, members and moderators will be able to talk in the chat. But everyone else will still be able to watch, but not participate in the chat. We will get through as many questions as we can before that cutover. We never get through everything, and based on some of the questions that are in there, there's going to be some hefty discussion. Also, I lost my train of thought. Thank you, Chatmaster C, with your pointer finger or your one, whatever. Where was I going with that? Yeah. All right. So members, hold your questions. We'll get there. Let's look at some of the news before I get lost on all of that. Where did it start? All right. So we got Carly's new. Christian's just saying yo. For some reason I read that as new, but it was just yo. Sunit's new. Allison is new. Keith is sort of new, which means not new. Mark is new. Karen is $ new. That's cool. Muhammad's new. Muhammad's new twice. That's how new he is. Let's see here. Frank is new. Clayton's new. Man, Dominique's new. Look at all the news, man. Yeah, we need a new logo. Yeah, I agree, Michael. Rajinder is new. Shout out from the UK. Welcome. There's a lot of folks from the UK that are here. So welcome. I think that's all the news. I think I got them all. I think. Cool. Paul, good morning, buddy. Hope you're doing well. All right. So questions. Put Q : in front of the question. Chatmaster C standing by to get them queued up. Like I said, we've already got a good amount of stuff in the queue. But get them in quick, so that you can get on the closer side of it. And then, Melissa's here too. Hey, Melissa, how you doing? usually forget when this starts. Yes, welcome. Glad you're here. Yes. Yeah, and Alex, thank you for dropping that the new doc piece that went out. It was amazing. All right, so questions, yeah. So get your Q colon for the questions, get them in. Also, do not spam the question. One time is all you need, and the question will be queued up by Chatmaster C. So that is all you need. Again, we don't get through all the questions. We'll get through as many as we can. And if we don't get to it, come back next week. We have a 3 strikes rule here on Guy in a Cube. So if you do spam the question, one of our amazing moderators or Chatmaster C will stick you in a timeout. So those are moderators are the folks with the blue names or the wrench next to their name. They are moderators. They have the power to put you in a timeout, as does Chatmaster C. Patrick has the power too, but he never uses it.
Yeah, no way. No way.
he's too paranoid of what's going to happen. And then also throughout the entire stream, if you have a burning question, and whether it's member only chat or whatever, super chats always take priority. So if you do a super chat, make sure you type in the question before you hit the button. Otherwise, your question won't come across with it. So just be aware of that. All right, cool. Are you ready, Patrick?
I'm ready. All right.
Go, Paul. Thank you for becoming a new member. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Let's do this. All right. So I am going. Oh, I still have that up on the screen. Let's get into the questions. All right. Matthias, we're going with yours first. Even though you reposted afterwards, you were first in the actual chat. So we're going to start with that. 3-parter. Let's go. I have 2 sets of customers, which I filter in the filter pane and reference as bookmarks. Together with other filter settings, now I want the user slicer selection for products. So the selection for products to remain unchanged when using the bookmarks. How do I do this? When I deselect data from the bookmark, the filter pane goes from changing, or goes to not changing anymore. Part 3, I was thinking of not using bookmarks and do grouping slicers instead, but I really need the other filter settings in the pane to be set. Need that flexibility of the filter pane. Whew, that's a lot. So Patrick and I spent some time. This is where I was right, and he was noodling more on it. So Patrick has a demo. We can jump over to that. There are nuances to this. So I'm gonna say. Should I say it, Patrick? Should I say it?
Yeah.
You got. It depends. And so you have some options. Yes, $1 in the jar. So with there's a thing, and Patrick had forgot about this. Or actually, I think you were going there, Patrick, but you were just bouncing it off of me. And I'm like, okay, make sure you're doing selected visuals instead of all visuals. And he's like, yes, yeah. But that's when we ran into, well, that's where the it depends thing comes in. And so, Matthias, I'm going to tell you right now, you've got to make a choice. There is a choice. But you've got to figure out what's going to work best for you and play around with the limitations of what's available and how the design of Power BI is. All right, Patrick, you want to go over to your machine?
Yeah.
You're so excited. You're so excited. He was so sad when it didn't, like, he doesn't like, I'm going to be frank with you, Patrick does not like this.
I do not like
He
this.
does not like it. He doesn't like it.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
But let's go.
All right, let's go
to my left.
All right.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So Patrick's got a bookmark. He's got 2 bookmarks. All right. So he's got one for color and the other one for gender. Yeah. Right. So we're just, and they're in the filter pane, right? Or they were in the filter pane. We kind of
they were in the filter pane. I took them out.
So Patrick, expand the ellipsis of the bookmarks just so we can see the properties there, and we'll kind of talk about this a little bit. All right, and then zoom in on that. Yep. Okay, so the data piece maintains that slicers and filters are included in the bookmark, and that's where you were going, Matthias. Now the challenge was that you had was, well, but when I do this, it's including the other slicer that I don't want to be included with the bookmark. And so if you want things to not be included in the bookmark, you have to go with the selected visual option. So that allows you to be, only select the visuals that you want included in that bookmark. And so that other slicer that you didn't want changed, that would not be included in the bookmark. Now here's the rub, and this is where Patrick doesn't like this, is that when you go to selected visuals, that now excludes the filter pane in the context of filters on this page, because that's considered from a global scope. And so when you go to selected visuals, you don't have the global scope anymore. And that's what allows you to not include the other slicer, right? So what will happen here is when we go to, so all visuals will include that global scope. Selected visuals will not. So what we tested is if you move those filters to the filters on the visual, that works. Now, the problem there is that any visual that you have on your report page all now need to be included on the filters on the visual. So for each visual, you have to include that filter. And then that filter selection for the visual will be included in the bookmark. Right? So that's that's option one. That's option one. So, and that kind of sucks if you have a lot of visuals.
All right, yeah, that's what I wanted you to say. Understand that, right? Understand that. So if I have all these visuals on the page, I have to go here and add that filter for all those filters for every visual on the page. Everyone, and you can do it. It will work. It totally worked. We tested it. It will work. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So that's the challenge with option one is you got to maintain all of the visuals. And if you make a change on any one of those visuals for like the filter pane and all that, you got to change everything, right? You got to maintain all of that. And that can be a pain to keep track of.
Hey, if it's just one visual.
Yeah. Good to go. So now option two, what I told Patrick to do for option two was to create another blank page and to add what you would have done on the filters pane, do them as slicers here, and then use sync slicers. And so these slicers are now only visible on this page, but they're syncing on the other page. And then what we do is we actually create the bookmark on these two visuals.
And so you got to make sure that you check for both page, and then I hit them on the main page where everything is going to be. See, that's not checked. Yeah. All right.
And the other piece of this too, go back to the properties of the bookmark. The other thing you got to make sure you uncheck here is the display page, or the page, whatever that, I can't see. The current page. So make sure that's unchecked, because you don't want it to force navigation. And then make sure it's selected visuals, and then you have to select both of those slicers when you save the state of the bookmarks. So that's option two.
All right.
And then what you could do is have kind of a global like selection page. So they kind of treat that as your filter pane.
Yep. And then when I come back, you see how I have the year selected here. But if I switch, you'll notice, hold down control, you notice these values change, but the value for the slicer maintains, right? And so it works. But I hate this. I hate this because I have this other page. Now, we chatted and I didn't have time to set this up. But you can actually take, instead of using the filter pane, I could take those slicers, put them on one page, but then I got to figure out how to manage all that with my design and my report. But I can have those slicers on the same page and it would all work also. So,
yeah.
So you got three choices. Matthias.
You got to pick Matthias. So that's where the it depends comes in. All right, that was good. I like it.
Yeah, that was wonderful.
Laura, sounds like a video is needed. I actually did a video on how like the bookmarks, how that stuff works on selected visuals. For this specific scenario, it doesn't necessarily cover all the details of this, so maybe we could do a video on it. Maybe the title of the video will just be "It Depends."
But we spent quality time together coming up with this solution.
We did. All right.
We don't get to spend a lot of time together these days because Adam's all busy.
That's it.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a manager now, so you know. All right. Let's see. Evan. All right, two-parter. First, I'm looking for some best practices advice related to Power BI app tabs. Right now, we deploy multiple reports, each with multiple pages. Should we instead deploy reports with only one page? Here's the second part. Or should we keep deploying multiple reports with multiple pages? We have some summary type reports which contain multiple KPIs, so my data set is quite large. So I have two parts to this response. The first part is it depends. But I want to go with the second part first. Is what's your goal, Evan? Like, so you brought up how best practices for the app navigation, right? How is that relating to your question about the multiple pages piece?
Pages.
Or does it not relate? They're just different. Right? And you snuck in two questions in one thing. Which, if you did, you have skills, sir. His goals, overall user experience. Okay, so let's talk about the multiple pages. Patrick, why don't you start with that? That's where the it depends comes in.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Say it again.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry.
We're gonna start with the multiple pages in report versus single page report.
Yeah. So I don't do single pages in the report if it's all answering this. If it's all related. Why would I have one page for this? Go ahead.
No, your audio was breaking up in my head. You're fine.
Is it okay now?
You're fine.
Okay. So first, no single page reports. Right? That's just a maintenance and a management nightmare. Keep going the path. Because if you have you have lots and lots of reports. Who's going to manage all this stuff, right? So if it answers the question, you got to group it and categorize. Let's keep going down the path with your multiple pages. The thing that I am not an apps expert, right? And so I asked Adam, I was like, so when I create this app, and I say include these reports, what happens to my pages, right? What happens to the pages? Because the app just going to make the report visible. But then you need to manage the pages in the report, right? Yep. What do you want them to see? What don't you want them to see? Go ahead.
Yeah,
And so,
no, you're right. Keep going.
Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you.
So
you're right. You are right.
You got to figure that part out, but I don't know what you're trying to accomplish from that point. And so you need to be really specific in designing your reports, and the pages that are in those reports, hide them, make them accessible via drill or buttons and things like that. It's hard. That's where this crazy it depends. I keep spending money on comes in at, because we're trying to figure out what's the goal. What are you trying to do?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So, in terms of some of that is going to be. Oh, go ahead. Did he say something?
He said, I was actually hoping that one page per report would be easier to maintain. Well,
but what happens when you have with 4 pages? It explodes. Go ahead. Right?
Yeah.
So do you want to manage 200 individual reports, or a subset of reports with multiple pages? Hopefully you don't have that many pages in one report. But this all goes down to, as well, understand the goals of the reports that you're creating and the questions they're trying to answer.
This is so great. Why Melissa is here today. Look at her.
I know. I saw that.
It's
so Melissa said some people do make the decision to physically separate reports based on who needs to maintain and work on them, then surface together in an app. So like if you have multiple developers, so that may be a reason for having different report pages, because if you have multiple developers, but it could be an explosion like we're talking about. So it's how do you want to manage those reports versus what do you want that user experience to be? So if you've got a ton of different reports and you have an app with like 40 tabs, I don't personally think that's a good user experience, because then it's like, well, how do I know where to go? And I could get lost in that very easily. There's actually an app in my day job that I look at, which is kind of like that. And there's only one report page I care about in that whole app, and I have to scroll down and then go to it. And it's kind of, I don't know. Someone had to teach me that it was there too, because I would have never found it. So yeah, it depends.
Yeah.
I don't know if that helped you, Evan. I hope it did. Wasn't a clear answer, so you're gonna have to kind of make a decision there, and business decision. So cool. All right. Vig. As a beginner in coding, which language is more beneficial to learn to be a data scientist? SQL, R, or Python? Talking about in relation to Power BI. Are you ready for it?
No. He didn't even mention DAX. He didn't even mention DAX.
Or M.
The expression,
Or M.
man. All right, M. All right.
So in relation to Power BI, we have the Python and R visuals, and you have the Python and R experience inside of Power Query. I don't personally. I know people use that, but I don't see a lot of usage on it from my perspective and with the customers that I interact with. So usually, if they're doing that type of experience, they're doing it outside of Power BI and then maybe pulling it in. From that standpoint, because they're like from Python and R, there's better potential experiences there outside of Power BI, and then you can leverage that within Power BI. So I'm not going to claim to be a data scientist, so I don't know if my answer is going to be the best answer. I would say from a pure data scientist perspective and what they do for like modeling on that end, I typically see more on the Python side than the R side. But like you can do a lot with whether it's SQL, whether it's M, whether it's DAX. I mean, you can do a lot of stuff there. So then I go back to like, what's your end goal?
And then what's the data source? I was thinking Joe Soresco, he said this also. What's your data source and what are you trying to accomplish? If it's just some data prep, part M may cover all of it, and you may not even need to know it because the graphical user interface is so robust. There's so many capabilities there, and then they say, all right, what about DAX? So I would think if in my opinion, if we're talking about it from a Power BI perspective, and you're just trying to do things in Power BI, M and DAX, and I will admit I don't know much M. Alex blew my mind yesterday. I'm more, I know more about DAX than I do M, but either one, that's where I would start, just depending on what you're trying to do.
You can do some crazy stuff in M. So
yes.
And I Tristan, you made a comment there that was data science is to show off at diners. BI is to solve real life problems. All right. I didn't say that. Tristan did.
That's funny.
That's funny. It's all right. Hey, everyone's got opinions. It's good. That's good.
I love it.
Also, sorry, I missed this in our transition of questions. Tom, thank you for the super chat for the Depends funds. Wait, is it the It Depends funds or something else?
It depends. It depends. We'll just go with It Depends right now. We'll just go with It Depends.
All right. Okay. And then, so Brock did a super chat as well. Ooh, he's got a two-parter. Ooh, Brock, thank you for the super chat, man. All right, so part one. Ooh, where is part one? I got to go back. Hang on. Here's part two. Where's part one? I lost part one. Hang on. I got to search. There we go. All right, part one. Requirements are that tons of measures are on one table or visual. Super slow page loads, yes. Recreating functions in Power Query to make the calcs in Power Query rather than read from the database, so that the visuals load super fast, since the calcs would just be reading from the database, which has all the data sent to it. Okay. So going back to the first part, the requirements are that tons of measures are on one table visual. Why? It's going to be slow. And so take out the measure piece of this because you pushed it back to Power Query to just do it there. So now we're back to, we just have a table with a ton of columns in it. Why? So I know because the business said to do that, but I would push back on that. Like, what are they getting out of that? What's the benefit? What's the, like, how do they even consume that or digest that information? What answer are they trying, or what question are they trying to answer? Or is it the, going back to, look, they want that old tabular page where they can print it and all of that. Well, go to a paginated report. Don't use Power BI for that. We've talked about that a lot. So yeah, I don't. If you have a ton of measures, it's overhead, right? So there's calculations that have to be performed, and then if you got, let's say you put 20 of them in a table visual, we got to do all of that, right? And so that's gonna be overhead and performance, and so if you're pushing it back to Power Query, I like that, but it also means that they didn't need to be measures in the first place. And to Alex's point, quoting Matthew's maximum of as far as upstream as possible. So I like that you did that. And if that makes it go fast for what your need is, then do that. All of it's down to optimization, and is the end result what you need for the report? If that made it go faster, then cool, do that. Because yes, the added measures will add performance overhead. And you have to debug that. But yeah, I would absolutely push back on why do you even need that to begin with? Like, why do we have just a giant table with a lot of columns? What do you think, Patrick?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, my friend.
Yeah. So we go back to what are your goals, and what are the questions you're trying to answer? Push back on the business. I know they say they want it, doesn't mean they're right. Right? So, or maybe Power BI report's not the right answer for it. Maybe a paginated report is. I don't know. So, all right. So, thank you for the super chat, bro. Appreciate it. All right, what's the time? I'm not even looking at the time. We got 3 minutes. Holy cow. Oh my gosh. All right. Data is king. I like that name. Is there a way to apply a custom function to more than one column in a query?
Yeah, there is. And I'm completely, that's where I've been freaking broken. That's what I've been broken on. I thought I could have it done by the time we got to but Alex and I talked yesterday, and I got to figure out how to loop through the columns. That's all. But yes, you can do it. Stay tuned. What's his name? Who asked this question?
Data is king. Data is king.
Data is king. Stay tuned. I'll chat with Alex, and we'll get.
There's Alex right there.
I saw that. I did. Table.trend. I saw that, and I got to just write it up. And so I created a little function that converts all of the columns to text. And I just wrote the function, so now I just need to figure out how to loop using this table. I found that too, Alex, using that other little function you showed me yesterday. And so now I just got to figure out how to use it. But anyway, stay tuned. I'm trying to get Alex to join me in the video, but we'll see. I'm trying to get him to join me in the video to talk about some of this stuff. We'll see.
Maybe you're going to have to dip into that It Depends jar. I don't know.
No, I am not. No, you can do this. This is not It Depends. You absolutely can do this. I just got to write the code up. I got to write the code, funny. And you'll see a video. Funny. Yeah.
Miley, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you. Much appreciated. Also, so I will say, so Brock followed up in the chat. Oh, where did it go? Where'd it go? Oh, it was there. I saw it. Hang on.
What about seeing the demo on it?
No.
Okay.
You all. There we go. Yeah, so he said for the answer. So he said thanks. The answer he was hoping for was go back and tell them that their requirements suck. Mission accomplished. Bam. There you go.
Oh.
There you go. All right. Let's get one more in. There are so many questions in the queue. I'm so sorry, people. Just come back next week, please. All right, Keyshawn. So you added, I saw 2, and I'm assuming the second one is actually the real question, because the first question, my response was going to be, I need way more info than that. So I'm going to go with the second question that you submitted. So need to send Excel reports from Power BI service automatically without manual run by using Power Automate flows. Is it possible to do so? Yes. Yes. Well, wait.
Excel report? I don't know about
You
Excel.
can't do Excel for the
You
report.
can't do Excel.
'Cause, yeah, you can't do Excel. Sorry. Not for a Power BI report. You can for a paginated report. The reason for this is because a Power BI report as a whole, you can't export an entire Power BI report to Excel. You can only export individual visuals to Excel. And so you got to do it per visual in that sense. And so the actual export to API doesn't support Excel for Power BI reports as the output.
Yeah, you can't do that. You can't do
So
that.
yeah, so you can do PDF, you can do PowerPoint, you can do all sorts of stuff, but yeah, no, you can't do that from a Power BI report. Look at paginator reports for that. That could give you. Are you just caring about because if you exported the entire report page to Excel, what would that even look like? Like how would that even, like, what would that be for the end user? So, because typically you want export a table or matrix to Excel, and that makes sense. And so if your report just has a single table or matrix and you want to export that, do a paginated report, and you could do it from that sense. So. All right.
1,000 row limit in Excel.
Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that's I don't know what that is. All right.
I don't think there's a 1,000.
We are at the halfway mark. So we are going over to member only chat. Time is flying. Oh, Patrick has some more ones. All right. So we're cutting over to member only chat. So what this means is only members and moderators can participate in the chat itself. Everyone else can still watch and learn and enjoy the conversation, but only members and moderators can participate in the chat. Super chats always take priority. Just be sure you add your question text in there. All right, cutting over to member only chat. What is that? What does that look for on the face?
I'm just reading these questions. I'm
Okay.
reading the questions.
All right. So before we get into the queue, one of the benefits of being a member is to pre-submit your question if you're in the visitor or producer tier. And we do have a couple of pre-submitted questions. And also with that, I was thinking ahead, and I do have some links prepared for the chat. So are you ready, Patrick?
Yeah. Oh man, this guy right here, man. Alex.
Alex. David, thank you for becoming a member. Much appreciated. All right, here we go. First question. Let's see if I did it right. Yes, I did. All right, I'm going to get rid of the event thing. We have, so Michael sent this in. We have a Power BI report with paginated visual hitting a paginated report. So it's like a paginated inception. And we're using the embedded approach of app owns data. We're leveraging SSO along with RLS, OLS for authentication and security. We're getting an error in our UAT environment, and I know it's blurry. That's because he had to blow it up. But the error is saying that Power BI data sets aren't supported as a data source for embedded paginated reports in app owns data. All right, so I'm going to jump back over here. So, Michael, couple things. One is the February 2022 item was released. And good news, one of the announcements in that blog post is now it's supported. So probably at the time that you were testing it, it was not supported, but now it is. So try it again. However, there is something to take note. You need to read the blog post because it does talk about, like, you have to adjust your embed token to account for this. And this link is probably not going to go. Nope, it's too long. All right, so I'm going to put in the full article, but there is a section within this article that gives you an example token for the paginated report and the settings you need to add to the embed token. So you need to be mindful. You're going to have to adjust your embed token on the embedded app to account for this, which I doubt you're doing because you were just trying the normal way and this was just released. So go update your app. In there, you also need to include both reports in that token, the paginated report and the Power BI report as part of that. And then there's a setting on the data set that you have to include, which there's an example in that doc. So be mindful of that. Go try it again now that this is actually officially supported and see if it works. There was another aspect of this, though, in terms of the SSO piece. So just try and be mindful about what you mean by SSO, because when you're doing app owns data, there is no SSO from the end user to the Power BI report, because you're going through, in this case, for the paginated piece of work, you have to go through a service principal. Everything's gated through that. You can still use row level security and pass that in, but you're effectively using like dynamic, you're just passing a string. So it's not really the end user auth token or whatnot. So to do the auth token, you've got to use the user owns data approach, which is a totally different thing. But that's now supported as well with paginated reports. So go check that out. Hopefully that helps you on that point. Also, David and Miley, thank you for becoming members of Guy in a Cube. Much appreciated. All right. Let's see. Cool. All right, Patrick, are you ready for the next one?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
All right.
People are breaking me.
People are breaking you.
Just breaking me. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. That's all right. All right. Betsy had a question. I wondered if you could share some of the methods you use to forecast or advice on what to use with Power BI if it's not the best tool for forecasting on its own. I'm trying to forecast how long customers keep their subscription with us overall. So an average customer life expectancy value. Of note, she did comment, she's not necessarily looking for the answer, but just how we would approach it and where we would go to get more info. All right. I think you want to show something, Patrick.
Yeah, hang on, it's coming up. Don't show my screen yet.
Don't share your screen. Oh, yeah, no,
right.
I see your screen
Not
right
yet.
now, and that's not what I'm going to show.
Yeah. All right.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. So first off, I do have to start with one aspect to this question. It depends. Patrick knew that was coming. All right. Now on to Patrick's computer.
So inner model, and I'm not showing the actual data because I'm just showing like a summary of it because I don't know if this is sensitive or anything. So you won't see any of that. But she did have a percentage for customer churn, and then there's a cohort. You guys can't see that. Customer churn, and then there's a cohort with year. Okay? Can you see that, Adam? Is it too small? Can you see that? So all I did, I took that and I put that on the line chart, and then there's a option when you have the line chart selected for analytics, and down at the bottom there is a forecast option down here, and you can do some adjustments and things, but I just turned it on and it automatically did the forecast. Now, I don't know what algorithms, and I don't know how accurate this is behind the scenes. I have no idea, but it gave me a forecast, and it's just kind of built in. So you can take a look at that. That's number one, right, Adam?
That's number one. That's
pretty
number
easy.
one.
Pretty easy. Yeah.
So number two is that you could do it with DAX, right? Now there's a couple things there. Oh, I didn't grab the first link. So if you go to daxpatterns.com, they have just patterns on general, like how to get your average for the customers, like not forecasting per se, but actual like customer retention. And so there's a pattern for that, and that'll give you the actual values. And then from there, you could do forecasting on that piece. Also, Enterprise DNA. Thank you, Alex. Enterprise DNA also has a blog that talks about actual like creating forward forecasts. In this case, it was sales numbers, but again, it's the same thing. You've got the number already. You've got that churn number. So how do you do forecasting on that? And so he's got an example. Sam's got an example on his blog that talks about how you could do this with DAX. Again, though, I don't know if it's as full featured as if you were to do an actual machine learning model that would actually go through and take into account weights and all of that. In terms of how you actually wanted to do that. So Patrick reminded me that our friend, Mr. Ryan Wade, has a book out there that talks about advanced analytics in Power BI using R and Python. And that, Patrick, you said there's an actual like section in that book
there's
for
a
that
chapter.
specifically.
Yeah. There's a full section in the book that shows you how to do it.
So you can go check that out as well. So there's a couple options that you can go through. Yeah. Ryan definitely knows it. He's the guy for that. So you could do it just with the visual itself. It's pretty lightweight. You can do it from a DAX perspective, but it may not account for everything you want it to. And then machine learning would be the end result on that, of like the biggest muscle in the room that can do probably the most with it. So you can go that route. Cool. All right. Good, good. So those were the 2 pre-submitted questions. Let's go to the queue. Christian.
Well, I can't wait till we get to Alex's question. I just can't wait till we get to Alex's
I don't even
question.
see Alex is in the queue.
He
It's
did a
not even
super
queued.
chat. He put $5. He gave $5
Oh,
for
yeah.
a super
Oh, yeah.
chat.
Christian, hang on. We'll get back to you. It's not in the queue, though. Hang on.
Well,
Hang on.
Now, Alex, I got you, buddy.
All right, super chat
I
from
got
Alex.
you
Thank you,
today.
Alex. Thank you, Alex. Patrick, how can I get the table profile for all of the sections in my Power Query queries to avoid bringing in expensive columns with a wide minimum maximum range?
Head over to my laptop, Mr. Adam Saxton.
Alrighty.
All right. And you guys stay tuned for a video. We'll see if we can get Alex to join us. So you're going to start with this function that I did not know existed called sections. Did you know about this, Adam?
I did.
So you do that, and then you just tuck it. So once you do that, you can get source section, right? Tuck it into this, and then this step, and then you can actually loop through everything you want. And Alex showed me how to do this yesterday, and I will do a video to share all this stuff with you. But what's really cool is, right, once you get all this information, this little function provides all this information, and you start expanding it out, converting it to a table, and all that information is in there. And when you get to the point where you can expand that column out, you see, I just filtered mine down to 1 table in my model. So you can do this for every table in your model. I just want to have this done before I didn't want to wait. And so now when you expand it out, you get all the metrics about that table: min, max, average, standard deviation, count. All the information about that table is directly in there. All right. Anyway, Alex, there you go, buddy. That's your $5. Thank you.
So yeah, so there's I think Alex pinged me like a while back too. He's like, hey, and we were just kind of talking about so that the pound sections, and then there's another one too. I'm blanking on the name of it, but there's another one. It's like globals. Is it globals?
No, hang on, I got it open right here. It is.
What's the other one, Alex?
The name
What
of
is
the
it?
other
What is
one
it?
is
I can't remember.
No, not section.
No, not shared. That's what it is. Shared.
Shared.
Yes.
And it lists all the functions.
Yes.
And it lists all the functions. Yeah.
Be really
It's on my
careful
screen
about
right
that. Be really careful about that. That is
it's on my screen.
That is like experimental type things that be very careful. So
I think I should do a video on this. I think Alex should join me and do a video and talk about this.
Yeah.
Alex, you should.
You should do a video with bring Alex in and get Matt Mason to join you as well.
Oh,
that would be good. That would be good.
That would be good.
That'd be really good.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
All
right, Christian.
Okay.
Now we're going back to you. All right. Is there a way to set a default slicer value for 2 dependent slicers when someone changes a selection of the first slicer and the second slicer does not have the previous selection available? Nope. So here's the challenge: is that you can do like visual level filters on a slicer, so that the first slicer, the selection of the first slicer, will adjust the second one, so it'll filter it down. But the challenge here is, from a selection standpoint, there's no way to affect the actual selection of the slicer, just what's listed in the context of the slicer. And so that's where the challenge is. And it looks like you're trying to actually change the selection. There's no action to do that. And so there's no like event or anything that you can do to actually change that selection itself. You can affect the list, but not the selection. And so that's one of the things that came up with someone else, is that like, well, I have a slicer. So they were doing this slicer thing with the visual level filters, but in the second slicer, they had a value selected that wasn't in that pared down list, but it was still selected and in the list. And I'm like, yeah, because it was still selected, and you can't reset that.
Yeah.
You can with bookmarks, but not any other way.
And someone, I think it was Wyatt just posted like a cascading slicer. Similar, but the challenge is that it doesn't exist, right? Didn't he say
you can do the cascading in this. So what I described is the cascading in the context of what's actually in the list, but it doesn't affect the selection. That's the problem.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so cascading parameters and reports, paginating reports. So you've got more options there.
Flexibility there.
Yeah, it would work better. But yeah. So sorry, Christian.
Oh my God! Look what Scott said. Look what Scott said. Wait, Scott. For slices.
Yeah.
The selection is the selection of the slice. Oh my God.
That's Scott. That's Scott being Scott right there. Scott, my response to that is Dataverse. Scott's the Dataverse guy. Oh, Laura, thank you for the super chat. Look at that. Towards the pound selections plus Alex video fund. So she doesn't want to see Matt Mason. She just wants Alex.
She's deferring. Alex is deferring. Alex is deferring to Matt Mason, Laura.
No, so come on.
Yes, he is. Yes, he
come
is.
on.
Yes, he is. I'm gonna reach out to Matt.
No. We'll talk. We'll talk. Alex, we're gonna get you. All right, Adam. Not this Adam. A different Adam.
Yep.
Have you explored goals yet? Yes, I have. Now that they've become available for free licenses, so it's just available. I was wondering what a good use case would be. And so I haven't done a goals video yet. It's been on my list. So they recently, so check the February 2022 blog as well. There were some good updates for goals as well. But I mean, goals are, a good use case for goals are tracking like OKRs and, the new name for KPIs. And so like, business OKRs. I know.
Can't they just be KPIs?
Yeah. So I've worked with customers that are using this. They've implemented it and they're tracking all of their things at like an executive scorecard level. They're using Power BI goals for doing that. On the Power BI CAT team, it's tracking the different regions and customers that are worked with by the CAT team and where they're at from certain usage of Power BI perspective and tracking goals on that sense. So that's what you would use goals for is scorecarding, right?
Hey, Adam, what's an OKR?
I forget the name of it.
I know.
I have to look it up. I don't remember.
Just PAB.
I know what KPI is. That's key performance indicator. But OKR, someone help me out. What's OKR? I'd have to look it up. Paul KSI.
Objective key result.
Okay, there you go. That's OKR. It's the new KPI.
Objective key.
It's Yeah. So goals is actually pretty slick. It's fairly easy to use. It can be dynamic. There's notifications now. You can do all sorts of cool things with it. So definitely explore it. Check it out. There's also, when you go to goals, I don't have it up right now, but when you go to goals, there's actually a ton of good samples in there too. So you can get an idea for like what you can use goals for. So go check that out as well. Those are really cool. Chris. How can we round down time to the nearest minute in Power Query? Similar to the floor function in Excel.
Yeah, I saw that.
I'd have to go research. I'm sure there's a way.
I have to go try it. I have to go try it. I bet you Alex can do it. I need to find.
Yeah, I'd have to go research. I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to go look at the functional reference to see what functions are there that are similar to floor. I've got to believe there is one. Unless
use the
Alex
shared.
knows off top of
Just use the shared.
Just use shared. Oh man. Yeah. Cool. Melissa. So Melissa didn't have a question, but she was adding on to the goals piece. Says if the goal spans multiple subject areas, might be useful to segregate them into separate workspaces. Yeah. So have the goal. You can have different goal. You could have different goals within the same workspace as well, I believe, unless I'm wrong about that. I think you can, I'm pretty sure you can. So you could have separate goals that way, or you could separate it out by workspaces for domain as well. Cool.
So Alex just put something.
He retracted it. No, yes, but I still have it on my end. I can show it, but I think he retracted it because it was maybe not right.
He put it back. He put it back.
Oh, okay.
Over
There we go.
time.
Oh,
Over
that's
time,
why he
it
put the
was
wrong
there.
function on there. He put date time instead of time. So yeah. So he said he's rounding down to the nearest second. So, right? Yes.
Oh, I thought he was saying he was rounding to the minute, didn't he?
I missed it. Dang it. Yes. Rounding down. I know we're rounding down. So. Cool. So, PMA, thank you for becoming a member of GuideCube. Much appreciated. Paul, or what Alex said. Up or down, whichever direction.
Did you see Wyatt's super chat? Did we talk about for the Alex fund?
Oh.
Did you see it?
Oh, I didn't. Wyatt, yeah, thanks for the super chat. It was for Alex's video fund.
I told
Appreciate
you, Alex.
that.
Come on, man.
Appreciate that.
Come on, Alex.
A lot of people want to see Alex. Yeah. Yeah, no, Alex, that's a good point. Yeah, just whatever the second is, just, do +1 and then drop the seconds. So, yep. Cool. But yeah, I don't know if there's like an actual floor function equivalent to get you there.
No, like I'm looking at the time functions. It's end of hour, start of hour.
So it wouldn't be a time related function. It would be floor is more of like a, getting like it's for rounding specifically. It's not time specific.
I get that, but I was just seeing if there was any functions. Like they have end of hour and start of hour, but I don't know what those return.
Okay. Yeah, we'd have to explore it.
Yep.
Cool. All right, Tom. I love the trick to show pages in a slicer instead of the tabs. Is there a way to hide all of the tabs and just default to a selected home page? So whichever page is first is going to be the one that's visible. So if you have multiple pages, like that's the first one in the list, or the first tab the first visible tab is going to be the default page of the report. And then, from a navigation perspective, you can use, slicers, navigation slicer to go to different pages.
Isn't it where I save the report at, though? Isn't it where I save the report? Which page I save the report on? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. For the default page, yes, you can change that. By default, it's the first visible page. But yes, whatever selected page is when you save it, that will become the default page. So, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And then you can use navigation techniques to move around to other pages. Absolutely. Cool. That is a common thing. All right, Eric. Eric's got a two-parter here. I'm building an enterprise model, broad app distribution, dynamic RLS, many fact tables. I'm the only one in the organization currently using calculation groups or tabular editor. Eric, I like you because you're doing that.
Oh, man.
I like you. That's nice. So in terms of long-term model sustainability, which is a bigger risk? No calculation groups or lots of measures, or use calculation groups when they might be more difficult for posterity to maintain? Are you ready, Patrick? Go for it.
It depends. It depends on what are you trying to do? I mean, when you say lots of measures, what does that mean? What does that mean, lots of measures? And then do you need calculation groups? I mean, I don't just use calculation groups to use them, right? They serve a purpose. And if they're serving a purpose and they satisfy the business requirements, you use calculation groups. If you don't have a purpose for using calculation groups, you just got lots of measures. Why even go through the problem of creating a calculation group and maintaining it just to have it to consolidate measures? I don't understand. It just depends. It depends. Yeah.
Did you see what Matthew said?
Go ahead.
Look at what Matthew said. It's on screen.
You're going to say it depends, but the answer is many measures is the bigger risk.
Well, but I would also say if you've got a lot of calculations in a calculation group, that's a risk too, right? So I mean, if you're having a ton of stuff, like to Patrick's point, does it satisfy the goal of what you're trying to do? It sounds like you're trying to make a giant model for everything. Is that the right answer for what you're trying to do too? Or is maybe smaller domain-specific models a better approach as well to limit, what all is there? And that would reduce your measures as well. So
you find the need. You got to feel the need. Answer the question with what you're trying to. Try to answer the question. Answer the question with the appropriate technology, right? And so that's the.
Well, I like Melissa's comment. Melissa's comment. We'll have a hidden page describing the solution for maintaining them. So like document your report and your model. Documents.
I like the question though. I think it's a great question.
It's a good question.
I think it's a great question. You just got to know what you're doing. You got to know what you're trying to answer, what problems you're trying to solve.
Yes. Yeah. I like it. Eric, so I think the fact that you're even thinking about that is good also, right? Instead of just ignoring the problem. So the fact you're aware that there's risk there. So that's kind of like the first step in the journey as well. And so now we can go look at, okay, what's the right way to go handle that? And there's like we talked about, there's different ways to go about doing that. There's different pros and cons to those approaches as well. So some of that's going to come down to business needs as well. So cool.
Yep. A lot of it's going to come to business needs.
Yes.
A lot of it, because if there's no true need for it, don't create the calculation group. And I know what Matthew says, right? Lots of measures are.
Well, yeah. But why do we have lots of measures also? So is there a business need for that, or is it because of that gigantic model that's trying to solve everything? Cool. All right, Pop Beater. I've been getting I've been getting a great number of requests for SPC type reports. What's SPC? I feel like I should know that.
I guess that's statistical.
Oh, okay. Hey Alex, what's SPC? Is there a plan for more statistical functions available in DAX or M? Okay. Well, you were right.
Statistical process control. Statistical process control.
Not to my knowledge. I mean, there's always a possibility, I guess, but I'm not aware of anything.
But I'm looking at some images of these types of reports, and they look like paginated reports, Pabita. And I know you guys are on premises. I know you're on premises, Pabita.
So the other thing too, though, is when I start thinking like heavy statistical type operations, my mind starts going to, should you be using like Python or R for that stuff? Like, because that's where the heavy statistical function stuff is. I know the question's probably rooted, Pop Eater, in the fact that you don't want to go that way because maybe that's not where your knowledge domain is, and you'd rather have it from a DAX and M perspective. But
he wanted the chat to offer some candor there. But
there you go. Also, yes, Matthew, on the whole risk thing, Matthew had a great blog post that may help in the thought of that. Just talk about risk management basics and things of that nature. So maybe that'll help give some insights on that one. Cool.
That's a good one, though. That's a good one. He says he has no knowledge in that domain. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Alex.
What did Alex say?
Sign me up for some SPC. It's the power of pie charts, Alex. It's the power of pie charts. Or donuts, either way. It's just a pie chart with a hole in it.
Pie chart with a hole.
You go. All right, Paul. Oh, we're up against the clock,
Turley?
too. Paul Turley has got a question, man. Even Paul has questions sometimes. All right, using a calculation group causes all measures to be duplicated. Hidden in a format string display folder. Can these be removed? Because he's using format string on the members. Yeah.
Oh.
What, really? Well, but it's in a hidden. Because it's in that hidden display folder.
Yeah. And it just knows to use that format when you use it. I don't think there's a way to get it. It's required.
Yeah, I think that's by
basically
design.
Not. Yeah, Paul.
Yep. Yeah, there's no way to
screenshot this.
Remove that.
I don't think you can.
No, I remember. No, because the format string. I think the internal implementation for format strings in general. I remember. I think I want to say Akshay made this comment on some email thread, but it was that implementation of it. It actually uses hidden display folders to account for the format strings, and so that's actually by design.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Paul.
Good
And
question,
that's not really a Power BI thing. It's actually an analysis services thing. It's what happens with tabular models when you use those format strings. All right, let's get one more. We're at the clock, but I'm going to grab one more. Joe.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. It sneaks up on you, man. All right, Joe. What does using DirectQuery with incremental refresh enable? SQL is my source. Is that similar to using hybrid tables?
You can't use incremental refresh on a DirectQuery table. It's got to be import. It's got to be import. Hang on. It's got to be import. And then once you properly configure incremental refresh in the back end, once you load it up, then you can enable a DirectQuery partition for that table. But the table itself needs to be, the storage mode needs to be import. And then when you configure it, you can set up the DirectQuery partition. Now, there's a video, I don't know when the video is coming out, where I show you how to do it without setting up incremental refresh.
Week after
and
next.
It's just
week after next.
Week after next. There's a video coming out that's going to show you. And if you're attending bits, I'm doing something there that's going to really take it to the next level. So,
now here's something I want to talk about too, is that you should not mix incremental refresh with custom partitioning.
No, don't do it. Don't do it.
So if you enabled, like you may have this urge of like, ooh, well, I can do this. And Patrick's video on this may spur some thoughts in your head of like, ooh, I want to do like incremental refresh. And then after that's done, I'm going to go into tabular editor and then do some custom partitioning on top of it. Don't do that. Use one or the other approach.
You know what? I should have said that in that video. I should have said that. And I didn't say it in that video. Because we talked about this.
Yes.
We talked about this.
Yep.
Yeah. God dang it.
Yep. I'll put a pin comment on that video when it comes out. So.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, that's an important point, is do not mix incremental refresh with custom partitioning to try and get some funky like DQs type solutions. So if you're going to go custom partitioning, go custom partitioning all the way. Don't mix it. It's going to be a bad day for you. Yeah. So,
bad day.
It's going to be a bad day. So, I mean, if you want a bad day, go for it. But I doubt you do. All right. Closing thoughts, Patrick. We're at the end.
Man, look. So, in a couple of weeks, several people from the Power BI Cat team is going to be SQL Bits. So if you're there, great to see some of you guys in person. Great. Yes. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
And there's going to be the return of Power Hour at SQL Bits. You don't want to miss. You don't want to miss that. Lots of swag, all sorts of goodies, lots of fun. So definitely, if you're at Bits, go to Power Hour. Definitely go to Power Hour. You will not regret it.
Ooh, I like what Laura just said. So let's bring that up, because I just want to put that out there in the universe. Go ahead.
When are you getting Melissa Coates as a guest?
Hey, Melissa.
What? So
Melissa.
that comment should be again, because we had Melissa on once.
That's right.
So Melissa would love to have you again if you want.
I wasn't here.
It's not my fault. You're also usually not here when Marco and Alberto are on, so Burn. Melissa would love to have you again, and maybe with that new white paper, maybe it's the right time to have another conversation. Yeah. All right, everyone. Great time as always. Love the discussion. Lots of questions. We didn't get to everything on either side, so come back next week and we will continue the discussion. All right. We'll see ya.